Hi everyone,
Hello,
my name is Shayla,
my name is Graciela.
and you're listening to
Coffee and Crime. Welcome back.
Welcome. I feel like it's been forever.
It really has. It has been a long time since we sat at this table looking at each other,
eye to eye.
eye to eye, drinking our little coffee. Yeah.
So let's just get this out of the way, because we don't have a long episode today, but I just feel like we should just get it out of the way now, and then we can continue with our topic, so we're just not straying.
Mm-hmm.
But what is your coffee today? I mean, we have the same coffee.
Yeah.
So,
But today is actually a homemade coffee because we were too busy to go out and actually get one. But we're drinking would it be a latte? I don't know, just like
it's an espresso.
an espresso with oat milk and brown, what is it, brown sugar? Syrup. Very delish.
Simple,
scrumptious.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't have an espresso machine, you could just do like how I do it at home. Get some coffee grounds and, make it the same way.
Yeah. So
let's deep dive into our conversation, into our topic of today.
And what is our topic of today, Shayla? What are we talking about today?
Our topic is going to be distracted driving. Now, we've all heard of like driving under influence, like drinking, THC, all the works. But no one talks about how dangerous texting is.
And not just like texting, just like
eating.
Yeah, eating, or even talking to someone else in the car.
Not only just talking, but even vibing with your music.
Yes, or like trying to pick a good song to listen to.
Just like because you could have one song and then playing.
All of a sudden,
upbeat, and then
I want to be sad, or I get you. Like all of a sudden, you're hearing some boppies of Pitbull, and then you cut to like, who's a sad artist?
Billie Eilish. Or like me, like a sad French song.
You listen to sad French music?
J'étais la soirée, or something like that. It's a really sad song. I'm not gonna deep dive into it, but it's a really sad song about a guy who lost the woman he loved, and he writes letters to her for the rest of his life. And
wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Now imagine trying to process that while you're driving,
or like crying because you're listening.
That has happened to me before, where I'm driving and then all of a sudden like this sad song comes on and like the tears just start pouring and then I can't see the road.
Or you just had a really bad day. You gotta maybe like this has happened to me. You had a bad exam grade come out, and you're often. Just as students, both of us just in our respected study area, but we both have gone through that together where we've cried with each other over the fact that like we didn't pass this one exam that we were so confident in.
Yes. Sometimes you just have to like let out a good cry, even in the car. And that's dangerous. You need to pull over and do that. You can't do that while you're driving.
Or wait till you get home.
Yeah.
Especially like us, we live from our respective schools. We live about 30-45 minutes away. And imagine just crying and not being able to see the road. That's extremely dangerous. So with the topic of that, like we can relate, we can understand. Like there's a ton of ways to be distracted while you're driving. And recently we did have this, it's actually due today, our discussion. And I was looking at it today and I thought, this is a perfect topic for the episode 3.
So coffee and crime. Which I mean, is it really a crime? Yeah, it is a crime.
It's a crime because sometimes
to like get caught on your phone. It's more like you get like you wouldn't go to jail for it, would you?
No, you would get like a citation.
A citation.
You can get a citation, but
you can't like talk on the phone.
If you get caught a lot, so often they can't suspend your license.
Oh.
But also like you could kill people.
Yeah.
With being distracted.
And you know what? I feel like it's so much easier to be distracted nowadays because, for example, my car, and I know your car has it too, it has CarPlay or like Apple Play, and like you're trying to like reach over to like change it because my steering wheel doesn't have buttons.
Mine does. Though.
So sorry. Sorry.
But no, I get you because it doesn't let me scroll down. Like if it can only let me change the song.
Yeah.
Or,
like
raise the volume.
You can't scroll through the whole, like, all of your music. Or if you want to call someone, you have to, like, I have Siri in my car, and she'll call someone for me. But, like, it's not like I call anyone while I drive. This is all alleged. I don't want them to come for me. Ladies and gentlemen,
see, the invention of CarPlay was essentially safer way to use your phone, because essentially it's another phone.
It is,
and it's so distracting, especially, and it's happened to me where I put my phone, as soon as I connect my phone, I put it down into the little middle console, and I don't touch it.
Yeah,
I don't touch it. But it has happened to me where my ringer is on and I literally get the notification. Yeah. You texted me, or and my boss texted me.
I want to check it, right now.
Yeah. And like I grab it and then I don't realize, there I am on TikTok now. Like
while driving,
I've caught myself a little bit, but it's not like it's an often thing. You know, I'm gonna say I'm guilty, and luckily enough, this assignment got me in the right headspace.
Good.
Got me to realize, in fact, how dangerous it is.
Yes.
And so we're talking about this discussion and this assignment and everything that came with it. You had the opportunity to do that discussion with me.
Yeah.
You played one game with me. And I found it, so I'm going to say, like, why I found it so interesting, what I learned, and then you can talk to me about what you learned from that game that we both played. And then I'll just tell about the second game that I played by myself. Just to see, like, how different it was. So the first game that we played was called Are You a Bogus Driver?
Yeah.
And so basically, we both got a score of 30.
Yeah, we did really bad.
Really, really bad.
Really bad.
So in my case, when I did the game, I realistically could not remember hardly any vegetables.
Me neither.
Hardly any. And I thought that was interesting. Honestly, I thought that was a unique thing, because you are on the phone sometimes. You do, like, you could be on the phone with your mom, and they're like, hey, can you stop at the grocery store for me and, like, get me these items?
Yeah.
And, like, you could, like, growing up, you think, oh, I'm a great multitasker, or, oh, I can remember anything.
Yeah.
But that just literally showed how I probably won't.
Yeah.
And so I found it very interesting in the fact that I was only able to remember 7, and there was a total of 14.
Yeah, we really couldn't remember a lot because, I mean, I think I was so focused on, like, trying to remember all the groceries, I guess, or all the veggies that they were saying, that, like, it freaked me out that I forgot them all. I only remember her saying broccoli.
Yeah, it was British. It was British, so I think that, if anything, that
kind of helped.
It did, because we have a fixation right now on that. Just
on cottage.
Hello, good evening. But just a British accent, so that kind of helped, I guess.
It did, and the worst part is your computer doesn't have good speakers, and, like, we were also in a very loud area when we did it. So not only were we, like, distracted
from the game itself,
but, like, everything happening around us, which I think made us perform a bit worse.
Yeah, because we did take ourselves outside of the loud area, but unfortunately,
we had this group of people follow us out.
We were interrupted once again.
Yeah,
and they were quite loud. So, I mean, and it does promote distractedness.
Yeah, and, like,
we were supposed to be watching a video,
and then I just hear the, like, crunching of rocks that would make me, like, not be able to hear. And then, obviously, if I was in that situation, I would be like, you know what, just text me what you want, because this is not
like, I can't do this.
And and then, like, I didn't realize we were going to be asked about what was happening in the actual, like, driving itself, because I wasn't paying attention at all to the video. Like, at all. I was like, oh, she's asking me to list all the groceries. I'm gonna pay attention to these groceries.
Your
and then
ear was
proceed
like so
not
close.
to watch the road.
Your ear was very, very close.
Yeah.
Which, isn't really realistically something we could do. We can't really put our ear to a speaker in a car.
Yeah, it's very different if you're like in an actual car.
If you're actually driving. I feel like something that could have been different in that scenario is like, go in your car. Just go in your car and don't turn it on. Don't turn it on. Literally just sit there and like pretend like you're driving. Keep looking at the road, looking, and try to remember.
Yeah.
How many things. But I guess what's cool about it is that they did have things flying in and out. Like we did get a question. Did you see Superman?
Which I thought was like alive. And then just for him to like walk, when we watched the video back, for him to literally cross by and be like,
is standing in front of the car.
Literally, I think if I would have seen that, if I was actually watching the video, then I probably would have been like, oh yeah, I saw him. I saw him. There's no way. But I guess we'll never know.
I know. I literally thought it was just gonna be like an animation, like a little someone just pretending to
drive.
No, to have Superman.
Oh,
like
yeah,
like a little
not the actual
not actual like someone in a costume.
Yeah. I think I would remember if I saw someone dressed in Superman costume. Yeah. There was one time. Can I say a story? I don't know if I can, just so we don't go off tangent. There was one time I was driving. I looked to the side because there was a guy in the motorcycle on the side of the road. I see him literally fall over. Like, he was stagnant. I'm driving by and I see him fall over. That's all I could think of the rest of the day. And
you were distracted.
Yes. It was very distracting. It was also very funny. I'm pretty sure the guy's okay, He just kind of like, don't worry.
Poor guy. I do get you.
But anyways, I'm sorry. I went off tangent there. But, yeah, I would definitely notice if someone was dressed up as Superman in front of me and I was trying to hear a grocery list,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But knowing myself, like, even if my mom called me and told me, like, give me this, and this, and that, I could repeat it back to her, but I'm going to forget, like, the second I get off of the car.
Yeah.
The second I hang up the call.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's
it's gone.
And then you're going to have to call them back at the store and be like, what was that? You have to pretend like you remember and be like, I just forgot the last thing you said to me. But moving forward, the second game that I played by myself.
Yeah, what was it?
It was called Teen Drive 365 Heads Up.
Oh.
My answers are found in my discussion, but I think it was just like it's benefiting because these are games that listeners could play if they just search it up.
Is that really a game?
Yeah,
you just look it up. Oh, okay.
It's promoted by Toyota. Toyota has this thing with like a partnership with like a company that teaches teens to drive, and it basically what it is like we're gonna put you through a series of tests.
Oh.
And you're gonna in each level you're gonna have a different distraction that is very real. And to be quite frank, I felt like this game felt more realistic than the other one.
Was there children crying? I feel like that's also a distraction.
No. So level 1 is basically notifications. Something that is
too guilty.
I am personally guilty of.
Yeah. Same.
And I found it interesting that literally you have to hold the car as you're driving, like you're pretending to drive. So you're holding the car, which is you maintaining control of the car, and you can move it side to side to avoid things. And at first, they let you get a test run. You're like, oh, this is super easy. And then as they're teaching you, they're like, oh, like a little phone pops up on your screen, and it's like a text, and it's like, oh, move the phone away from the screen, which is very real because you take your hand off the wheel to grab your phone.
Yeah.
Same way you're moving your mouse off your car to move the phone. So I had to move the phone out of the screen, and then they're like, okay, cool. Now you got an understanding. Let's go into the game. So you do the game, and that's basically it. You get a bunch of notifications, and I caught myself. I will say I caught myself actually reading the messages. Because I was like, wait, this isn't the point of the game. Yeah. The point of the game is to literally, I'm not trying to multitask.
Yeah.
And then they started adding more items. They started adding pedestrians walking, stop signs. And when you saw a pedestrian, you were supposed to like move your car away from the pedestrian. There was other cars on the road that you had to move away from. The stop signs, you had to click on them to physically stop your car.
Oh.
So it was very realistic to me. It was like it was challenging for me, and I found that so interesting.
Yeah.
The second level was very crazy, and it's something very realistic. It's food. Mm-hmm. It's food. And in that level, you were supposed to move the French fry to the other person's hand. And what was, again, so realistic, which I loved about this game, was that the hands were moving up and down the screen. So, like, one hand was holding the fry, and the other hand was empty. And you were supposed to pass it. And it's so realistic because you're, like, when you're reaching for food or something, like, say in the back seat, you're, like, moving your hand, like, try to find their hand. And, again, you're focusing on that other than driving. Third level was singing and loud music. And that is something
way too guilty of that.
Both of us are
my God.
so guilty of.
Yes, I have caught myself where like I am jamming out to a great song that I close my eyes. I close my eyes, and when I realize what is happening, that's when I'm like, what did I just do? And then I go back to jamming. I'm like,
yeah. Or like, I've caught myself, right? And again, like Pitbull or something, because he's my jam. I catch myself swerving. Not in and out of lanes, but like
in the same lane,
in the same lane. But you hear that side, and you're like, "Oh my God!" Like that's when it keeps. Like, then you remember I'm driving.
Yeah. This is not the time to jam like that.
Exactly. So then you gotta. That's why when you're in driver school, they teach you keep the volume low. Not only for emergency vehicles, like to hear them.
Yeah.
But because of that reason, you're not at a party. You're not at your house sitting on your bed.
Yeah.
You're driving. You're in charge of your life, whoever's in your car, and the people around you. And so I'm just saying it.
Yeah.
Those three distractions are very, very dangerous.
And I think it's so common nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Literally. Sometimes, like, when I read my notifications, and sometimes I try to read my notifications when I'm at a stoplight.
Mm-hmm. Which is even bad, too, because
you never know what can happen, right? Mm-hmm. But, like, I read them, and say it's, like, from my boss, or, like, from my class group chat, and I read something that, like, is concerning, but as I'm about to reply to it, the light turns green. Mm-hmm. So then I'm like, I'll reply at the next stop sign. But then I'm like, I'm at a point where I'm about to get on the I-10 or like the border or whatever, the freeway. And I'm like, just in the back of my mind, I'm like, I want to respond to that text. I want to respond to that text because what does that text mean? Oh my God, I have to know what they want. Like, what does it mean? What does it mean? And allegedly, I answer. Allegedly.
I mean, it's good that we're getting it out because it shows how real we are.
Yes, it's very common and it's not correct, but we recognize that.
Yeah, and we're young, and I'm not trying to excuse our actions because we're young, but you are seeing it in very common young people.
Yes.
As soon as kids get their license, that's the first thing they want to do. They want to
go show off to their friends,
be cool, and
go
and
ride with the windows down.
And sometimes you're texting your friends or da-da-da-da, like, So, literally, a lot of things can cause crashes, and we recognize that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that this was more intense. You are at a higher chance of crashing when you have these distractions rather than when you're drunk.
No way.
It's mind-boggling.
No way.
It's actually very, very crazy. So, going forward, we are going to talk about a case. It's not a criminal case. It's just a very sad case of someone who was unfortunately killed because of distracted driving. And it's not very recent, but I do remember this video, like, so much when they showed it. at least for me in high school, especially when we had like those awareness for like drunk driving, distracted driving, that the whole week that we always had. And it's about AJ. So we don't get much information about AJ.
Okay.
And this is all provided through TxDOT, their website, which it's the Texas Department of Transportation. And if you go onto their website, and the link will be provided to this exact video, but it's a quick 30-second video, and it's just telling the story about AJ. So yeah, I'm just gonna play it out loud so that our listeners can hear it, because I feel like hearing it from a mother's voice is going to do a lot more impacting someone than hearing me say it.
Yeah.
I didn't have a personal connection with AJ.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and play it.
AJ was my firstborn child and the love of my life. On September 3rd, 2013, I received the most horrific news that a mother could ever hear. Your son was in an accident today and he died. They did later find his phone, and I found a tweet from him at 1:32 p.m. His accident occurred at about 1:35 p.m. So please don't be in such a rush to share your status or tweet your latest thoughts while driving. It is not worth it.
So,
oh wow,
that is the story of AJ. It's very short. It's very simple. She just got straight to it.
Yeah.
You know, who he was, firstborn, and he was in high school.
Yeah.
And I do realize this was back in 2013, and we're in 2024.
Yeah.
But think about it.
It's still very prevalent.
Like kids nowadays in high school still see this video. And it's kids in high school who probably weren't even really born, or they were super, super young when he was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
So if, when she did say about his tweet that he tweeted
at 1:32.
At 1:32, you want to go ahead and read what he tweeted?
Love to. Back in Corpus, back to reality, back to working for the next EDM experience. #EDM. #Ties to is next.
Tiesto.
Oh,
Tiesto is next.
Tiesto is next, and a little black heart.
Yeah. And, it is in Texas. Of course, it's the Texas Department. But, look at that. His tweet was at 1:32. He crashed at 1:35. We don't know what happened in that time between the tweet and his crash.
Right.
But
one could assume.
We can only speculate that maybe he was looking down to see how many people have seen it.
How many people have seen it? Who has liked it? Who has retweeted it?
Did my friend like it?
Yes.
Did someone reply? Or maybe he got a notification saying so and so responded to your tweet, or
retweeted. Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh my God!" And he's full of excitement, and he looked at it, and boom.
Yep.
So we can only assume what happened to poor AJ, but I hope he's resting.
Yes.
In a beautiful place. But it's sad. It's sad, and it's just
that it could happen to anyone. Thankfully it hasn't happened to either one of us. So we should be more careful, more conscious.
It's
of
not
our
a
driving
joke.
habits.
Yeah, it's not a joke, and we keep thinking to ourselves, "Oh, it won't happen to me."
Yeah,
it won't happen to me.
Everyone thinks that until it does.
Until it affects someone that's really close to them.
Yeah.
And then that's when you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna change my habits." No, change your habits since now.
Yeah, don't let it have to get to that.
Absolutely. So, we're getting towards the end of our podcast, and we already shared our coffee for the day and everything. But we're getting to the area where we talk about current events.
All right.
And
so what is happening currently? There is so many crashes here in El Paso.
A ton.
You can only assume a lot of them, I believe, are from drunk driving. But you can only assume the ones that are not. Thankfully, not someone gets hurt every crash, but the fact that so many crashes happen, especially like in the morning, like trying to get to work, you know. So many crashes. Like every morning, it's like there's a new one. And don't go this road. Don't go down this road because you're gonna get stuck in traffic there.
Oh, 100%. And I did tell you this, that it happened to me the other day, that someone brake checked me because they were on their phone.
Yeah.
And like the crazy thing is, I'm not trying to speculate if they were on their phone. It's just I knew because they were holding their phone. And like when you're like looking straight ahead and someone doesn't have tint, you could see into your car. Absolutely. And so you could see when they're having their phone right there by their face. Or sometimes, you know what I don't like is that people have begun thinking that those little suction cups that go on your
on
your front,
and you stick it on the windshield. Is that what it's called?
The windshield.
Yeah, right. Is that correct?
I believe.
I don't know. But the suction cup.
Yes.
That like a lot of dashers use and stuff.
Yeah.
And dashing, that's also so dangerous.
Oh,
trying to accept an order while you're going like 70 on the
freeway because you don't want to
get the money
and you're trying to get paid.
Yeah, that's so dangerous.
It really is. But those little suction cups.
Oh, and those are going to be.
Like companies are like promoting it to you, saying like
it's safer
because it's right there. Because it's right there. You're like, looking at the road. I'm like, no,
you're looking at your phone.
You're still looking up, and I've seen people have literal videos playing in that little phone
people
holder.
Watch like movies or something while driving.
Like Teslas, don't even get me started with their whole
my god, the whole iPad there,
the whole self-drive mode.
Yeah.
Oh goodness gracious,
that cannot be safe.
No, because again, I've seen people literally be like, "Oh, I could sleep in my Tesla while it's driving."
No, you can't. No.
Like, are you really putting your whole life into technology that can
malfunction
in any minute?
Yeah.
Like
just so you can nap on the way to work.
I'd rather go to bed early.
Yes.
Wake up.
Yes.
And have control of my car.
Yes.
Have control of my car. Even if I'm like, say I'm in self-driving mode, I'm still gonna have my feet near my pedals, near my brakes, because again, what if it like reacts too late?
Yeah.
So our current event is actually going back to TxDOT and going to, UTEP, my school, go Miners. TxDOT actually launches an annual distracted driving campaign at UTEP. It's an article that I was able to find on a local news website, KTSM, so Channel 9. And this article was posted 2 days ago, April 2nd. And it basically, it's a short article, but it talks about how TxDOT named their annual campaign Talk, Text, Crash, which is just a campaign of urging people not to text and drive, and they were at UTEP. I personally didn't know this. I was too busy getting ready for my exams. Yeah. But they were at UTEP on Tuesday, April 2nd.
Wow.
And they had, multiple guest speakers from local police officers, state troopers, and even first responders who they're on the scene.
They see what
they see what we don't think they see. And as much as people say, like, I hate them, they always pull me over, like, but their main job is to keep you safe.
Yes.
And first responders are always,
other people unsafe.
Yeah, first responders are always there first, hence their name. And they see the worst. Yeah. Maybe they see, like, people not being injured so badly, but there is unfortunate times where
someone passes. Yes.
And so their main topic and reasoning why they decided to open up this annual event was they realized that distracting driving has been linked to more than 94,000 crashes in Texas last year. 1 in every 6 crash was due to distracted driving. And that's a big number. Like, although it's 1 out of 6, it should be 0 in anything. So they wanted to, like, teach you what it was like to be distracted. So they gave you like these glasses, and they pretended like the person was wearing them, like they couldn't see, and it was like, and so people couldn't see, and they weren't driving correctly, and they ended up crashing, and that was like one of the events they had. But another cool statistic that they pointed out on this article was that according to TxDOT, there was a total of 2,611 traffic crashes with distracted drivers in El Paso last year.
In El Paso alone?
Yeah. So think about it. Literally, they said 94,000 crashes in Texas last year, and 2,611. That might not seem like a big enough number, but we're
a small city.
We're an extremely small city compared to Dallas and Houston and the bigger cities. Granted, Texas is very, very big, and there's a bunch of small cities. Yes. But 2,000 alone in our small city?
Yes, that's like, what, almost 20%, 30%?
I'm not a big math person, but I would only assume so. And they, unfortunately, 9 people passed because of those, and 32 people were seriously injured. Again, people think, hey, it's not going to be me. Yeah. And it might not be you. It might not be because of you, but it might be because of whoever is driving. Yeah. Or you could be driving. Literally, you're not even touching your phone, but you're the one crashed into. Yeah. You're the one getting injured because of someone else's decision to be on their phone. Yeah. So, honestly, TxDOT put some tips on how you shouldn't be a distracted driver. And I'm not going to get into that because I feel like our podcast is running a little long. Yeah. So I will, once again, have this link provided for the article and for this short video for anyone to, like, really want to, like, click on that video. TxDOT does have more videos on their website, and I'll also provide that link. They don't just have AJ's story, but they have a lot of people's story, and AJ was just one of many, many people in Texas who have passed, and once again, 94,000 people. So honestly, I hope like our listeners can take something from this. I know I found this topic very interesting. I didn't know any like details about it until I really looked at the numbers, and I feel like this topic did connect to me in a personal level, in a deeper level, because again, we have partaked in certain aspects, allegedly. But yeah, I found it super interesting, and I hope you found it interesting as well.
I did find it interesting how it's so prevalent today, that it can really happen to anyone, like we were saying, that it's just so, like, you don't think about it until you do. And when you do, you gotta make the change, man.
Or it might be too late.
Make the change. Exactly. It might be too late, and let's not get there. Yeah. Let's not get there.
Yeah. So that's going to conclude our episode for today.
Yes, thank you guys so much for listening.
Yes, thank you.
Had a lot of fun time talking with you, Shayla.
Yes, and this podcast is actually we're almost reaching the end.
Really?
Completing episodes for it.
Wow.
But
so soon.
As a class grade.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can keep it going.
Yes.
Just so people can understand.
We'll see.
The dangers. But once again, guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.